A lot of A-level students, and I find quite a lot of them find it very difficult to actually share each other's work and then listen to the criticism from their peers, and I think that's something we've worked quite hard on. We've also worked on actually having the confidence to challenge your own assumptions, and some students have moved quite significantly. They began with one particular standpoint, and by the end of the project they've actually got quite a different stance. And also constantly looking through their essays to look at, are there assumptions that you haven't evidenced, are there assumptions there that you haven't justified that you need to unpack. We've also worked very hard on, they keep a learning log, so they actually keep almost a diary through the process. We also teach about the Harvard referencing system, how it has to be absolutely precise, and how you run a bibliography as you're researching. You obviously can't leave it all to the end. So I think there are quite a lot of academic skills that are in there that you would need at university along the way, and I think you found that quite helpful.
Certainly in terms of learning community, it's a format of meeting that I want to carry forward, in that we're attending a debating conference in a couple of weeks' time, and hopefully now we're going to start meeting in a very similar way, inspired by that, of sharing each other's research, and instead of writing an essay we're going to be writing resolutions for this conference. So hopefully it's sort of a trial idea that I've had that we're going to carry forward, and hopefully we'll have some results from that. So I'm interested to see, something else that I've learned is to see whether this meeting style can be applicable elsewhere.
I think also because we've linked in with the University of Bath, what I've really liked is that by geographically, physically being in that place a couple of times, it's actually again taken us out of the comfort zone of school. And by giving you their presentations in a lecture theatre to an invited audience of about 40-50 people, again, and they get questions, they do a 15-minute presentation and then they're open to questions from the floor. So although you might have put a few plants in the audience of questions, I don't know whether you did, but but obviously because it's such a big audience, you actually are there having to answer questions, you've no idea what you're going to get, and that for me was the real test of all the background that they'd done, and I think all five actually handled that very well, and it showed you as an audience how much work they'd done, because they had to reduce the 5,000 word project down to a 15-minute presentation, and that's equally important along with the essay and the log. And the log's about 15 pages that they send off. Then you have 3 formal interviews. That you have a primary interview when you meet the students to sort out their title. You then have a midpoint interview and then a final point. And the ability to reflect on their learning journey, there is a page in the log where they are expected to do an A4 sheet on reflecting on their learning. And I think that's been incredibly powerful actually when they've been able to look back with hindsight at it.
Can I make a request, Sally, to these people? I wonder if one or two of you wouldn't mind coming back in 3 or 4 years' time and telling us how significant this experience was in the light of what you're going to do over the next 3 or 4 years at university. Because it sounds to me as if your dissertation is going to be a piece of cake, having learned all these skills now. But you're assuming quite rightly that these skills are going to take you through the next part of your learning, and it'd be interesting to see whether that actually happens, and whether the skills that you've developed will enable you to write your dissertation not on the subject that you've done now, because that would be content driven, wouldn't it, but using those same skills to look at something completely different when you're in university. So it's a long way off, but try and keep it in your mind, and you'd be very welcome to come back.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask perhaps a bit more immediately, and really put Sally on the spot, as to, because the skills that you've been describing are the ones that you've been actually using on a Tuesday night. Have what you've been working with them on their learning community as you after that? What have you taken from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I've learned is, I think it was Simon who said that he reached, because I'm doing the Masters with Jack Whitehead and Marine, we partly set this up, modelling the seminars that I go to at the university. But I've learned a huge amount from the students, and one of the things I think Simon said was, you reach a point where you just have to write every week for an hour, whether it's rubbish or not, you just have to get into that discipline of writing. So it's been very much a two-way process. I mean, I've gained a huge amount from what they've done, and you can probably guess I'm very excited about what they've done. And I feel very much as a teacher that you are learning with them. It's very much a partnership, because you're not in control of the content at all. They do go and talk to subject staff, they'll go out and say, can I talk to the member of music, because I don't have those specialisms. Some institutions, the projects are run within a faculty or within a department, but we've deliberately chosen to do it across the board so we get this interdisciplinary exchange. And I think for us that's worked. But each institution's, I think, doing it quite differently. I think we find quite a lot of different models of practice nationally.